Okay, good morning. I'll call the meeting to order. I'll begin by acknowledging that we are in Treaty 1 territory and traditional homeland of the Métis Nation. My name is Neil Harden. I'm chairing today's panel. With me is Doug Marks to my left and Ed Sawatsky to my far left. The assessor today is Matthew Barakis and the recording secretary is Kara Belshaw. We'll be hearing applications for revision of the assessment rule in accordance with the Municipal Assessment Act. The matters for which revision is requested have been described in each application, and we'll limit discussion to those matters. The statements that the applicants or assessor make at this hearing are sworn testimony, and anyone speaking to the matters must be sworn in. Be advised a comparison of assessments of properties are not considered evidence of market value by the board. The board is appointed annually by council and is independent of it in the city administration. It makes its decisions on the basis of the evidence provided at this hearing and issues a written order to be mailed to all parties as soon as possible. Please note that the board's decisions with respect to an application may be appealed to the Manitoba Municipal Board if the matter pertains to assessed value or classification, to the Court of Queen's Bench if the matter pertains to the application of exemptions from taxation. Should you wish to appeal, information on how to do so will be included with the board's order. With respect to the hearing process, I will confirm the matters to be addressed with each applicant following the swearing in. We'll then have the assessor's testimony followed by questions the applicant may have, and the applicant's testimony followed by questions. Each side will have an opportunity to summarize if they wish. Once all the evidence about an application has been brought forward, the applicant may leave. The process will repeat for each item on the docket today. The session will close after all the applications have been heard, and the board will deliberate in private and make its decisions. You will receive the order by registered mail as soon as possible. As informational public hearings are live stream recorded and will be part of the public record. So can you do the swearing in, Karen, please?
You'll start? Please state your name.
Matt Brokus.
Do you affirm the evidence you present today is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you. Please state your name.
Henry Dupont.
Do you swear the evidence you present today is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
Thank you.
Okay, the first item on today's agenda is 271 Edison Avenue, so you can proceed.
Okay, just 1 second. File number 19-2499, roll number 04000321000271 Edison Avenue. April 1st, 2018 reference date, roll year 2020, assessed value $2,352,000. It's an apartment, it's 1962. In our record, we don't have, in our model, we don't have an effective age applied to it. 26 suites, 24 outdoor parking spots, construction class D wood or steel frame exterior walls. Last go around was at the border revision. It was $2,193,000, and it was confirmed, and that was a 5.25 gap. You'll see on page 2, they've been good with handing their mailers in. Page 3 shows the modeled workup. 26 suites, 8 of them are 1 bedroom, 18 of them are 2 bedroom. Average monthly rent as assigned by the model is $809.08. Model expense ratio and capitalization rate of 5.3 generates our estimated market value, $2,352,000 rounded. We'll see our rent comparables, pardon me, on page 4 of the property. Of my brief, rather. So, the properties on Edison, they range from $809 to $899. They are a mix of 1 and 2 bedroom units of the same vintage. Our cap rate pages 4A and 5. 4A are just a sample of actual sales that took place during the reference period. The purpose is showing to illustrate the accuracy of the model, substantiate the model derived cap rates. They're not meant to be comparable specific to the property. So the multifamily table is the third table from the top. Cap rates in this sample of 4 properties range from 4.03 to 5%. Page 5, this is our capitalization expert, just showing the ranges. You've seen this before, I'm not gonna go on. Page 7 shows the income and expense mailer that has been submitted to this property. So, first thing you'll note is, I'd like to note, is that in 2017, so they collected 240,000, and then in 2016 they collected, the year prior they collected 254,000, which is kind of odd because usually it goes up a little bit each year. Looks like they have higher vacancy in 2017. Interesting thing to note. I think the main part of this one is we've got 26 suites here in this building. When you look at the maintenance and decorating, the R&M on this property, for 17 they've got 146,752. So when you look at that on a per suite basis, that's $5,644 per suite. So that is substantially higher. Looks like they're doing some work that's over and above what a typical repair and maintenance looks like for a building of this vintage. That high figure, the high ballpark of that figure is also seen in 2016, also on page 7, and then you can see it on page 9 as well, where in 2015, 117,127 divided by 26, there's still $4,504 on a per unit basis for the 26 suites, so looks like they're renovating the place. A quick Google search of this property. Look at some interior and exterior pictures found on page 11 and 12. I mean, these are the only pictures that were available, so that's what I have for you to see. Looks like the kitchen's been redone. Perhaps countertop. Perhaps the tub surround in the bathroom. That's what I've got. So our rent assigned is $245,870 on an effective gross income basis. They reported $240 in 2017, but it looks like they're fixing the place up. Because we're looking at current condition, I wouldn't put a weight on these mailers. If you look at the income before under noted items, it's in 2017 they actually had a negative return on the property. So I just want to model on it. Probably should go out and do an inspection on it. Yeah, without seeing anything post-reference, that's my evidence.
Any questions, Mr. Dupont?
Yes, from the photos, would you agree that it doesn't seem necessary to increase the effective age?
Well, I know what the rents are now, and they're a lot different than what we have in the model, so probably should be inspected.
But does the photo indicate that it should be increasing its effective age?
You know, with just these 4 photos, it doesn't show enough for me to make a determination. I see that the kitchen looks like it's been fixed. I'd like to go down there and check it out.
Your cap rates on page 4A. Would you agree that the first 3 cap rates were above the intention to renovate?
Okay, so for Roche, I know material has been provided in the sales mailer showing that they were indicating that they purchased it for $3,610,000, and they were going to spend $100,000 on suite repairs. That's roughly 2.7% of the overall sale price, so in that light, it doesn't seem like it was substantial, which is what the municipal board deemed necessary to discard the net operating income placed at the time of the sale.
So this 100,000, that's 2777 per suite?
Yeah.
Is that substantial?
That's what they indicated. They also indicated on that same sales mailer that they purchased it for the in-place net operating income as well.
Do you have that proof?
I know, let's see here. I know you guys provided in your rebuttal. Depends if I have your rebuttal or not. Did you bring rebuttal today?
Oh, no, I haven't filed it yet.
Okay.
Then the other two properties were bought with the Talbot Maxwell, also bought with the intention to renovate, substantial renovations.
I mean, in your rebuttal, if you're gonna file it, I think there's some email correspondence that is in there.
Right, and I've been filing rebuttal since September or so, so that your department is well aware of the intention renovations of those three properties.
Yeah, we haven't seen invoices or permits. I don't know. Can you file it so we can take a look?
No, that's all the questions.
Okay, Doug, any questions? Ed?
You say you want to inspect the property, you haven't inspected it.
I have not been able to inspect any of the properties on this docket, just with time constraints, deadlines.
And your rationale for the 5.3% cap?
That's assigned by the model as per age and area.
Area.
Yeah, age, area, and size.
No further questions, thank you.
Okay, and I have no questions, so you can begin, Mr. Dupont.
I guess I'll start this rebuttal on the cap rate. So page one, you give a summary of what we have in the appendix. So the first point one, is we have a precedent from the municipal board in 2018. And the board said that with the sessions for comparable, sufficient concerns were raised by the appellant on three of them regarding purchase intention to significantly renovate or alter the structures. The appellant produced evidence from purchasers who makes the board question the use of the purchase price, income, and income information. When a property is being bought with the intention to renovate, the purchaser is not buying on the existing income stream, because the intent to change it, the intent to change the physical aspect of this property, of the property they're buying. So the board said they were not reliable cap rates. Number two, sale 191 Roach, the purchaser would intend to renovate. The purchaser stated in the sale questionnaire the property was purchased with intent to renovate and that the condition was fair. The 2017 questionnaire shows low rent, relatively low rents of $663 for one bedroom, so that's low rents. Number three, 394 Talbot, the purchaser would intend to renovate. We have an email from Astroid, property manager before and after the sale. So the property was purchased with intent to renovate. 2016 questionnaire prior to the sale says the rents were $537 and $653. And the recent website says totally renovated with rents that are about $300 higher. So they did spend a substantial amount and raised the rent a substantial amount. 285 Maxwell purchased with intent to renovate. The email from the purchaser says they intend to renovate to the tune of $413,000 with the intention to raise rents over 3 years. And the 2018 questionnaire, which we include, shows confirms kitchen and bathroom renovations of $413,000. Again, that was quite substantial. Number 5, the 333 ward is our direct evidence. We have 5.13% versus the assessor of 5. We show full documentation, and then we show a full income approach, whereas the assessor does not show any supporting documents or how they arrived at their cap rate. And therefore, since they have the burden of proof, we should not be relying on any of their cap rates. So page 5 is the decision of the municipal board, and I've underlined some of the items that are important. The page 7, I stated that the property was purchased I said that the properties with intent to renovate, convert, condominium should not be considered, and these purchases do not have typical motivation. Page 11 is the sales questionnaire for 191 Road, shows that on top. At the bottom, under C, question 17, did you intend to demolish any structures in the property, or on the street? 16, did you or do you intend to make major repairs and improvements in the property? Yes. And how much? For street upgrades? 100,000. And street upgrades is directly to the suites. It's not so much that you're spending money on a roof or a boiler, which does not improve the rentability of a unit. This is directly to the suites. Then page 13 shows the rents that they had, which works out to the 600 that I had calculated. 294 Talbot, it shows the page 15, shows the rents in 2016, as I stated in the front page, 537, 653 per month. The page 17 is the email from the property manager, Ackman. Property was originally sent to renovate. Kitchen and bathrooms were renovated for $413,000. This is on the 2018 questionnaires, and page 19, 2018 questionnaire is shown there. That's my rebuttal.
Did you have any questions on the rebuttal?
Yeah. So on page 11, you've got one page of the sales questionnaire. There's another side to this document with more information, correct?
I don't recall.
It hasn't been submitted to the Board of Revision before?
I don't recall. I don't know if there's a second sale. This first sale is the, talks about whether you have the intent to renovate, and that's pretty much what I'm interested in.
No, just on the same sale, just what cap rate, no, not the cap rate so much, but whether the purchaser indicated that they purchased it for the net operating income at the time.
I don't have that, and that doesn't matter, because they bought it with the intention to renovate.
So.
Of course, they're not gonna completely disregard, it's kind of a trick question. Are you disregarding the income stream on that property? Of course not. Is that how you make your purchase price? They don't ask that specifically, so what you're looking for is not there.
Okay, so they said suite upgrades, and 100,000 on the 3610000 is 2.77%. Would you say that's significant, given the amount they paid for the property?
It is strictly for suite upgrades, go straight to the suites, and it's $2,700 per suite. It's significant to the point it will change the cap rate. If it changes the cap rate by only 2.77, so be it, it increases the cap rate. And the rent that they get from that will substantially change the cap rate. It makes your cap rates unreliable.
Okay. For rebuttal, those are my questions.
Okay, you, any questions,
No, they've been answered.
Ed, any questions?
No.
Okay, on to your main presentation.
I got the repair maintenance study first and the cap rate study, so I'd like to go through repair maintenance study at this time.
Okay.
Okay, so first page is we have at the bottom, 133 properties, so we have them categorized. So we show the different categories, and we show whether they're new or renovated.
Which document are you referencing?
Repair maintenance study, page 1,
Okay.
for the table. The top table is CMHC rents, which is not so reliable compared to ours, because whatever rents they have will include high rises, low rise, renovated, unrenovated, and therefore it's difficult to get a good rent comparable from CMHC. But we do show what the rents are on our table. So the second last column shows the potential rents after discount that we had. And then if you look at index number 10, low rise 1960 and 1979, we have 61 properties. Most of that was for 5 years, so therefore we would have about 300 items of repair and maintenance. The average R&M for those 61 property was $16.48. We stabilized at $14.90 per suite. The average rent was $830, and if the subject is higher than $830 today, it would be higher than average. So this is index 10 on my first table, the second table. And if you look at index 1, 1998 plus, the actual R&M is $918 per suite, and the rents are $1229. So newer properties will have higher rents naturally, and they'll have lower repair maintenance because they're newer and they don't need as much repair maintenance. And then category 2, 1998 renovated, the repair maintenance is lower at $667. We stabilize at the low amount because we stabilize at site specific at all times. And the rent was $957. Category with also a lot of properties is number index 5, high rise 46 to 79. It's unrenovated. That's 20 of them. And the actual repair maintenance was $2112. And we stabilized at $1731 per suite. And the average rent there was $999. So you can see the index 5 has much higher rents than the same age group, number 10, 60 to 79 low rise. And when we say high rise 1946, 79, it's because there's no high rises that started in the 40s. The first high rise is 1954. Most high rises were built thereafter. We show each and every property on the subsequent pages, and I don't have them numbered. But if you go, I guess, through the pages, you will see that the large page, low rise 1960, 79, we sort them by rent per suite. And the lower the rent, usually the lower the repair and maintenance. And the higher the rents, the higher the repair and maintenance. So that in order to maintain high rents, you need higher repair and maintenance. Towards the end, the 4, 5, 6 pages, we obtained from K4 the cost of flooring and appliances. And then they gave us cost from their general ledgers, so they give you the actual address and the actual cost, and they give a cost per square foot. So we have tons of data in that regard. We also got from another property at 54 45 Roblin by another property manager, which is the last page. It shows the average cost. So we asked the owners, what is it they're spending? So the last page, you see their flooring is higher. 2018, they were spending 68, 67 per suite. Then they have the, what the fridges and dishwashers and range start, and fridges and stoves are here about 1,700, and if you add the dishwasher, it would be 2,400. Nevertheless, we go with lower numbers from K4, and we had that on email. So it's about 4,000 a suite to be floored, and over a 10-year life, that's $400 per suite. So that's the maximum we have when we stabilize repair and maintenance. And appliances cost is $1,666 per suite, and with a 10-year life, it's $167. So when we stabilize, we'll be using a maximum 400 per suite flooring, $167 for appliances. I can answer questions on this or move to the cap rate study now.
Cap rate study.
Okay, cap rate study. Page 1, it gives you the summary as to what our cap rates are. Show what the assessor's cap rate. They have some low cap rates at 4.6 to 5.3, 4.6, 4.2. These low cap rates are only for units, small units, usually under 20 suites. I believe they said there was at hearings that they would buy square footage. So most properties that would have over 20 suites would be 5.3 for this age group. And the newer ones, 75 to 97, is 5%. We have our cutoff at 1979, at 1974. So 1980, we go with a lower cap rate. And we have the arguments at the bottom of the page 1. And basically, we're saying that all apartments built in the 70s are very similar, and it's not fair to have different cap rates for properties that are similar. And therefore, we put the 60, 79 in the same cap rate. Page 2 shows the cap rates last time and cap rates this time. Page 3 is the actual cap rate comparables we have. So we have 9 cap rates. We show the year built, the number of units, etc. We show remarks. So under remarks, 210 same areas is low rents. 43 St. Anne's is rehab 2 years prior to the sale. Mighton was renovated prior to the sale. And 215 Laverange was renovated prior to the sale. So those were renovated, therefore they would have lower repairs per suite because they were renovated. The last 3 comparables, Ward, Beach, and Southview. These are newer properties. You can see they were built 2006, 2014, 2014. There again, those would have lower repair and maintenance because they're newer. So far right, we have our averages. So the average for all 9 comparables, 5.91, 9 sales. The newer ones, 2006 plus with 5.38. We have 3 sales, and then we have 5 sales, 1966, 74. And if you look in the middle of the page, we have 3 of them in the 70s, 72, 73, 74. I believe those are proper cap rates to apply to age group 75 to 79. They're very close in age. So based on those comparables, we have obtained cap rates that we show at the bottom. So 60 to 79 for today is this property is 6%. Page 4. That is similar to what the assessor reports, and in their report, they report the market report for Colliers and CBRE. However, we compare 2016 first quarter to 2018 first quarter. That was the reference date for the prior appeal period of 2018, 2019. So the first one, Colliers unadjusted high rises was 4.75 to 5.75. Now their cap rates are 5 to 6. And the last column shows that the change, their low of the cap rate went up 1/4% and the high went up 1/4%. And the low rise, it was 5 to 5.75 to now 5 to 6, so the high end increased by 1/4%. So based on their data, they're saying the cap rates increased by 0.25%. Then I show Colliers adjusted, and we add 0.1% because Colliers includes closing costs of land transfer tax, which comes to 0.1%. And then the paragraph below it, we show that their pro formas, we have 3 sales of them, paid 25, 40, and 55, where they actually show what they're doing, and it comes to 0.1% for those 3 sales. CBRE, they break it down for A or B, Class A or B. They don't have a Class A for the high rises. High-rise B, they have the same cap rate for the 2018 appeal year to 2020. They have 5 to 5.75. But what is very telling is that today they have the low-rise A, it's now 5.5 to 6, and low-rise B, 5 3/4 to 6. And what we have, this one here today, built in the 1960s, would be a low-rise B. And then they start at 5.75 and the assessor at 5.3, so the assessor does not fall within the range there. I would say a low-rise A would be for newer properties built after 1998. Probably most properties here today would fall in the low-rise B, which is 5 3/4 to 6. Third paragraph under the table, it says that Colliers has a quote saying that the rising interest rates will affect the cap rates for multifamily. Then after that, we have interest rates. The Bank of Canada's interest rate increased by 0.75 basis points, or 3/4%. And at the bottom, page 4, it says the mortgage rates increased by 60 basis points, or 0.6%. So the cap rates increased by 1/4%, mainly because the mortgage rates increased by 6%. We have background data for all properties. We have income approach on all properties, page 6, 12, 14, etc. is the income approach on each one of them. We have CMHC reports. We have the Colliers report on page 85. And then we finished by the assessor's multifamily inventory, showing that the most apartment count is 1960, 1974. So the last page, you'll see that there's 716 properties built that year, and 75 to 97, 422. And I would suggest to you that between 1980 and 1994, there was virtually no apartments built, very few, because that's when the interest rates were 14%, and they did not start to rebuild until way after 1994. So that was part of my argument that the cutoff should be 1979 and not 1974. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Brankas, questions on either of these two cap rate or repair and maintenance studies?
Are we doing the actual property after?
After, yeah.
After, okay. All right.
These presentations will apply for all properties.
Okay.
today.
Yes, it would be, yeah.
Yeah, okay, and my questions as well, please. Thanks. So, I just have some rebuttal here for the cap rate study. I think I've got 5.
6 properties on the document today, right?
Oh, I'll get you the document. So it's coming around, you've probably seen them before. They're just some sales mail, there's the sales mailers for 2 of the sales in the office cap rate study. 210 St. Mary's is the first one on page 1. This was submitted to the department by purchaser. So you see the sale here, 830,000. If you go to page 5, and it's highlighted, you'll see that the purchaser indicated that the property was purchased based on the property's net operating income. And they assume a capitalization rate of 5.5%. That's 3/4 of a point lower than the Altus cap rate for that property. And then if you go to page 6, that's for 718 Beach. Same thing. Go to the last page, page 7, highlighted here. Purchased for the property's net operating income, and they assumed a 4.5% cap rate. That's what they indicated to us, which is nearly a full point lower than the Altus cap rate say. So it's just to illustrate that the purchasers themselves are indicating that they assumed a lower cap rate when they made the purchase of the property. That's my evidence for rebuttal.
Okay. All right, Henry, any questions on this, rebuttal?
On page 5, 210 St. Mary's, the property is 11 suites. Would you agree that your cap rate on that would be around 4.2%?
Let me see here. This is
Or 4.6, I guess,
a
right?
1952. 1952, no. What's the size of it? 7, 6. That would be 4.8.
So this cap rate that you have here does not support your cap rate from the owner?
This is just simply what they indicated they purchased it based on.
When you establish cap rates, do you rely on the cap rates stated on questionnaires by owners?
No, it's done by model.
Is it proper for any appraiser to actually rely on cap rates by quoting what an owner or purchaser says the cap rate is?
This is just an indication of what they related to us.
So it would not be relied upon by you or an appraiser, is that correct?
Well, they certainly look at it, but I mean, I don't think you could hand in this alone.
Now, on the property 330T Ward on page 57 of my cap rate report.
That's going beyond.
Well,
the
okay, no,
rebuttal.
but I can mention it in some summation. The purchaser said the cap rate was 5.44%, and you had 5%. Would you agree that in that particular case, what a purchaser thinks the cap rate is goes against your own cap rate?
Is that
Well, again, we're going beyond the rebuttal.
Is
here,
that in
so-
your brief here somewhere?
Yeah, page 57.
Okay, yeah, so they said 5.4, wasn't that based on making it more efficient? There's some efficiencies they were gonna do in terms of combining a caretaker with another
Well,
building?
again, let's not go down there. That's going beyond questioning on this rebuttal, which, what your questions were supposed to be for.
No further questions on this rebuttal cap rate?
Okay, Doug, any questions, first of all, on the city's rebuttal?
No.
Ed?
None.
Okay, what about the, Mr. Dupont, either the cap rate study or the repair and maintenance study? Ed, anything, Doug? Okay.
I get to go from, I get to question that too, right?
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So, if you go to your,
Done your question.
oh no, that's just the rebuttal,
Okay.
before. So, if you go to page 3, you've got a summary
Of cap rates?
of cap rates, and you've got a list here showing the ages and what cap rates have been assigned based on the pro forma. Would you agree that looking, because I've looked at the breakdowns, the R&M per unit ranges from $332 per unit to $1,072 per unit.
Probably.
Okay. And when we look at the ages of these properties, and I'm looking at, I have them side by side next to your repair and maintenance study in terms of the Altus stabilized R&M per suite column on page 1. It looks like once you get out of 1998 and newer, the R&Ms stabilized by Altus are all significantly higher than, on a per unit basis, what's in the Altus cap rate study. Might that indicate that the cap rates indicated in the Altus cap rate study are influenced by abnormally low repair and maintenance?
Well, page 11 and 12 of my cap rate report, which lists all the properties, low rise 6079. The first one I stabilized at 614 per suite. Some I stabilized 822 per suite, 960 per suite. So I did not stabilize all of them at 1400 per suite.
Is this the cap rate study or the R&M?
That's my R&M study.
Oh, okay.
So that I stabilize repair and maintenance on a site-specific basis. When it's low, I stabilize low. When it's high, I stabilize high. So it's based on site-specific. Our cap rates are based on site-specific repair and maintenance, and the reports we do from this board are also site-specific.
Okay, so on page 6, 210 St. Mary's, R&M's here is stabilized at 332 per unit, which is a 1952. There's 1 year, 2016, where it's $949 on the year, which is $87 per unit. Did you exclude that in your calculation of R&M for that year?
No, see, I do the average of the 2 years. That's what they're spending.
Do you ever exclude years that are too low or too high?
Well, sometimes I do, yes. Usually when I have 3 to 5 years, and when you have 5 years and one that's much lower, much higher than the other 4 years, then you may rely on the other 4 years. But if I exclude 1 year, I'd be only down to 1 year. That 6,300 divided by 11 suite would be 5,000 per suite, which would be way too high.
63, sorry?
6,300, no, 634 per suite. Yeah, okay.
Okay.
No, I use the average, that's what I do quite often with the properties that come in from this board.
And then for Mighton, that on page 8, it says RVA, that's not based on actual, that's based on Altus appraisal?
Yes.
Okay. And then for, on page 10, La Vérendre, just looking at the R&M breakdown, 500 per suite. You've got 13 to 16 where R&M is much higher. It's ranges from 10,003 to 15,201 for the 6 suites. You stabilized at 3,000 total, which is 500 per suite, based on a pro forma, is that correct?
Well, the pro forma had 1,800, they stated that had been renovated in the prior years, so the repair and maintenance would have included CapEx, and therefore did not go with the 3-year average in that case. So the property was fully renovated at the time of sale, with high rents of $12.41 per suite, which shows that it had been renovated.
Okay. So just in the Altus cap rate study, that would be, for low-rise renovated, that would be less than half of the Altus stabilized R&M per suite, correct?
Less than half the average.
The figure you have just for the column for, low rise, 60 to 79 reno is 1172. But you do it on a site-specific basis, I gather.
Yes.
Okay.
So,
And then, okay, last question for Cap, just for 333 Ward. We're pretty close on this one, we're at 5, you're at 5.13. The only thing I see as different here, hang on one second. Never mind. For cap rate, those are my questions, thank you.
Okay, and on the R&M?
I don't have any questions for the R&M, I just compare them.
Okay, anything to raise, Ed, Doug? Okay, go ahead to your main presentation.
Very good, page 1, photo. Walk up Edison and shows the street mix there. Page 2 shows the aerial map. Shows the exterior parking. Page 3 shows the where it is. So it's on Edison, east of Henderson and south of Chief Pegasus. Page 5 is the assessor as a burden of proof, and the board has found that the property should be site specific. Page 6 is our cap rate table from the cap rate study, where we get a cap rate of 6% for this age group. Page 7, repair and maintenance. The financial statements, as shown by the assessor, which we can go through later, has only one figure for repair and maintenance, and therefore, for this owner, which is Phoenix Enterprise, we get general ledgers for all their properties, and just page 7 is our breakdown of the repair and maintenance from the general ledgers. So we show the 5 years, we show a 5-year average, and then we show what we stabilize at. So the first item, appliance maintenance, we stabilize at the 5-year average. We show what it is per suite, and we see basis stabilized, it's 2013, 2017. And we show Altus Max, and so there it shows the 167 from the repair and maintenance study for the appliances purchased. So the appliances were stabilized at the 5-year average, which is only 102 per suite, so they're below the max. We disallowed capital purchases, major repairs is shown there, 164,000 in 2013. We disallowed half of their general building capex, 50%. So all those items in red are disallowed. Carpet maintenance, we stabilized, it says the 2013 times 2017 times 82%. So the actual average was higher than $400 per suite, and therefore we multiply by 82% to bring it down to 400, which is actually $1,999.36. Electrical maintenance, you'll see that they're 3,000 to 9,000, and then 1 year was 13,400. So we excluded that year, so we stabilized at 2013 to 2016, so 4-year average. General building, that's the other half of the general building. We excluded the 3 high years, so we stabilized at only 966. So it shows that we allowed only half to start with, the other half was put under capex, and then we disallowed the high years. Pest control, you can see there's 2 items in red. It was 1,400 to 4,000. The 2 years were 10,000, 11,000, so we excluded those 2 years. That's what we stabilized at 2,970. It shows the basis there, 2013, 2015. Refuse and snow, they have that as part of their repair and maintenance, and now we exclude that because we stabilized those separately. Plumbing repairs, we got 4 years that we excluded. We only used the low amount from 2014. So the total is shown at the bottom, and less the CapEx, and less the waste and snow, at 55, 36, 87, etc. And those per suite are shown there, 2,100, 1,397. So the 5-year average is 3189, but we stabilized at 1905 because we removed a few items when we did our stabilization. General building, remarks at the bottom, says that includes turnover repairs, which is 20 to 40%. Is turnover repairs of that general building. And the small parts, supplies, fire alarm testing, repair doors and locks. Those are normal repair maintenance. They're not the boilers or the windows or the roofs. So they should normally be repair maintenance. Nevertheless, we've excluded 50% right off the bat, and then removed the T-high years and that. So the what we would have for this one, we stabilized 29,529, 1905 per suite, and that shows on the next page, page 8. So line 27, we show the actuals from the financial statements for each of the years, but then we stabilized at 49,529, which is 1905 per suite. So if you go to the top of the page, so we have 5 years of income. So they had 226 in rent 2013, and they increased the rents a little bit in 2015 and more so in 2017. So the vacancy went up to 8.8% 2015 when they increased their rents by 20,000. Next year vacancy was 8.7. The next year was 16.7. Sorry. So that's the market pushing back against their rents. Their rents is $889, and this is 1962 building. And if you see the requirement study, I believe it was 830 is the average rent for that age group, so they're above the average, and the market is pushing back on the vacancy. So 2017 was 16.7, but we stabilized at 10%. The 3-year average is 11.5, so we're even lower than the 3-year average. Then we added the laundry and parking, the 2017 mark. So line 13, our effective gross income is 259, which is higher than the assessor of 245. Now we stabilize expenses, and this is pretty much the same for all properties here today. Our default is that we use 2017 expenses for insurance, utilities, caretaking tax. Those are the normal default. We will stabilize at other than 2017 if and when it's erratic. So if your insurance doubled that year or something, we would look into it, or if your utilities are out of line, we'd look into it. Because that reflects the current cost for 2017, so it's the most reliable unless it's erratic. Items that tend to be erratic, like sundry, line 17, or professional fees, we use a 3-year average. Advertising, we also use 3-year average because that could be erratic. And same as waste and snow, that's weather dependent, so we use a 3-year average. Now if you notice water, line 21, that's usually 2017, but we stabilized at 2015 to 2017. You can see that I show 5 years because the water was 14,000, 2013 went up to 22, down to 17, down to 14, back up to 26. So the 26 is out of line. And water is payable every 3 months, so there's 4 bills per year. So quite often, some years we'll have 5 bills, and the other year we'll have 3 bills. So because of the, well, it dipped in 2016, went back up. So we stabilized at 3-year average. And repair maintenance, we stabilized at the 5-year average after, from the general ledgers after allowing adjustment for each of the line items there. So our NOI line 33 is 110 versus the assessor at 124. Our cap rate is 6% versus the assessor 5.3. So our value is 1841. And under remarks, there was a boiler replacement and parking lot repairs in 2013. If you recall, in the general ledgers, they had a large amount, 164 for major repairs, and that's what it was. Now, the assessor mentioned what the 2018 was, and I asked the board that we disregard that information. We usually do not bring up a prior assessment. We used to, and the board basically told me that they're not, they don't have to look at the prior assessment, and the assessors also complained that we're bringing extra information that needed a lot more work. In front of the board, we explained the differences between 2018, 2020, and taxes went up, or repair maintenance went down, or et cetera, et cetera. But I would say the 2018 decision of the board was appealed to the municipal board. That's my report. Oh, sorry, can you go to the appendix quickly to the page 12. It's the same statements that the assessor had. You'll see that maintenance and decorating is one line, and therefore that's why we obtained the general ledgers. The rest of the figures we put on our spreadsheet, but the general ledgers is what was used for repair maintenance. And that's my report.
Any questions? Mr. Baracus?
Yeah, just a couple. So on page 8, line 4, you stabilized at a 10% vacancy rate. How did you come to that figure?
Well, normally we'd stabilize default at the 2017 vacancy. And then the second option is we looked at a 3-year average. In this case, it was 11.5, and so we went lower than that, so we thought we'd do a reasonable vacancy. So that's a judgment call based on the facts that we have there.
Okay, so, I mean, given that it's been shown, I mean, through the amount of work that they did, and you can see when you compare row 4 to row 27, it looks like the years where the R&M is really high when they're doing those improvements, it's in line when the vacancy is really high. Does that not indicate that they're connected and they couldn't have people in there renting because they were fixing the places up?
Never. They fix suite upon turnover. They don't keep suites vacant on purpose to renovate. The assessor, I brought that up before, and I brought that up to some of the owners, and they all pissed off when you even think about that, because they never do. If they had to, and turnover is necessary to have it for 1 month, that's part of the business. But part of the business is that they fix suites very quickly on the date that they move out, and they have available for rent right away.
Okay, so you don't think there's any correlation between them working inside the suites and them not being?
Absolutely
able
none.
to-
There's no evidence to that effect whatsoever. And they spent $114,000 in repair maintenance in 2015. Vacancy was 8.8. Then went up to 16.7. That's the market pushing back on the rent increases.
Those are my questions, thank you.
Okay, Doug, question?
No, I didn't for that, thank you.
Ed?
Well, that's a lot of information to digest, but there is a big difference in your NOI, 110 to the city's 124. I gather from what you've said, it's mainly because of the vacancy rate.
Part of the vacancy, you essentially go with an expense ratio. It's an expense ratio based on averages, then outside specific. Our repair maintenance is higher than the average, 15 or 1,600, but then that's because they have higher rents than average. So we match the rents to the repair and maintenance. So they're spending that much on their suites, they're trying to get higher rents, and the market is pushing back. So that the vacancy is the actions of the market. So it's hard to see why we're different than the assessor. The assessor is not site-specific.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I just note that even with your use of 10% vacancy, your gross income is significantly higher in the cities. So the main difference is in the expenses then.
Yes, in the end, we're higher effective gross income than the city, and so the city has 49.3% expense ratio, ours is 57.3, but ours is based in site-specific, and the assessor is based on models. I don't believe we should rely on the model whatsoever.
Okay, thank you for that. All right, this property took a fair bit of time, but that's because we went through a bunch of different stuff.
A little quicker. Can I take a quick break?
Okay, I was gonna say we do one more property and have a break, but if you want a break now, we'll do a break now.
Yeah.
10 minutes, so 20 after 10. Okay, we will resume with 279 Edison Street. So you can begin, Mr. Brackus.
Okay, 19-2504, rule number 04000323000279 Edison Avenue, roll year 2020, with the April 118 reference date, assessed value $1,846,000. It's an apartment, it's on Edison, same areas we were talking about last time. 1969, no effective year built on it, 22 suites, 22 outdoor parking spots, construction class C masonry, bearing walls. Turn to page 2, good with mailers coming in. Page 3 shows our model workup. 22 suites, 6 one-bedroom, 16 two-bedroom, $833.59 per suite with our model parameters at 5.3 cap rate. Generates our estimated market value. For the purpose of being quick on this one, we're within $500 in terms of net operating income, so it is predominantly capitalization rate on this property, which we discussed at length at the previous property we talked about on the same street. So I'm not going to focus on the income and expenses because we end up virtually at the same spot. The mailers can be found on pages 7, 8, and 9, and then there's some pictures of the property, the remainder of my brief. We talked about cap before, so I'm not going to go into this. That's my evidence, thank you.
Okay, questions, Henry?
No questions.
Okay, any questions, Doug?
No, thank you.
Ed?
Have you any evidence on maintenance and repair for this property?
Oh, it's in the mailer
Yeah.
as well. If you look at the, starting on page 7, it's 22 units, so we've got 41,929 divided by 22. So that's 1905 a suite. The year prior to that, there was more. It's 64,391 divided by 22, 2926, and then in 2015, 95489 divided by 22, 4340 per suites. We're at the same spot in terms of net operating income, so I didn't talk about the financials.
Have you inspected the site?
I have not been able to inspect any of the properties on this stuff.
Thank you. No further questions?
Okay, Henry, you can proceed.
Cap rate study, I'd like to point to two things. So page 57, as direct evidence, the purchaser for 333 Ward, said he was buying for 5.44%. That's a large company, a Mara West Group company, or Artis REIT, or buyer. And on my page 3, my cap is 5.13, so I went lower than what the purchaser thought it was. Page 17, that's a Shimichi report. Top right, says the overall apartment turnover rate was 22% in October 2017. I reported to you what the turnover rate was, and I'm showing you here again. So on average, 22% of the suites turn over in a year. So that's where the repair maintenance comes in. The tenants move out, and then they have to spend money on turnover. So back to our report, is that the, page 1 is the photo, the 2.5-story walk-up. Page 7 is the repair and maintenance, similar to what we had before. We disallowed the numbers in red, and we come to 1841 per suite, repair and maintenance. Page 8 is our spreadsheet. Vacancy, it went up also again because they're pushing the rents. So the rents was 171 2013, and now they're 223 or 224. So in the last 3 years, vacancy has been relatively high. The average 6% in 2017 was 7, and we stabilized at 3-year average of 6%, which is lower. We stabilize the expenses in a normal way, so we end up with a net operating income basically the same as the assessors. We're down to cap rate argument. So we stabilize cap rate at 6%, so our cap rate should come to a value of 1,623,000, and that's my report.
Questions? Mr. Burkus?
No questions.
Okay, you had any questions?
No questions, thank you.
Doug?
None for me, thank you.
So simple cap rate issue. All right. Thank you for that. Okay, we move to 333 Edison, so we can proceed.
All right. 1 second. File number 19-2539, roll number 040003296000 333 Edison Ave, 2020, April 1st. 2020 roll year, April 1st, 2018 reference date, assessed value $3,813,000 on this one. So it's an apartment, 1972, got a 1992 effective year built on it. That's due to the fact that it had some work done to it. There's some pictures, again, in my brief, showing condition of the inside of the place, pardon me. For this one as well, on Edison, capitalization rate is basically the only thing that's being disputed. We're within $400 of each other. So I'm not gonna belabor the financials on the property at all. So you can see pictures, well, sorry, on page 10, there was a permit taken out, 2011, declared construction value of $145,000, alterations, 27-unit apartment block, painting interior, exterior, replacing kitchen and bathroom cabinets, flooring in suites and hallways, That's the source of the effective age, and then there's just some pictures of the remainder of my brief showing the interior of the property. So again, it's cap rate on this one. Thank you.
Any questions, Henry?
No questions.
Okay, Ed, questions?
No questions.
Doug?
Good, thank you.
Okay, go ahead.
Page one photo. I walk up to a simple stone exterior, 2.5 story. So the bottom story is halfway in the basement. Shows the aerial map, and then we show the map where it is, and Edison, east and Henderson, south is Chief Pegasus. Page 6 is the cap rate. So page 7. So the cap rate we have for this is 5.75. Now line 3, it shows that we're stabilizing at the actual rents, which is $938 per suite. If you recall, the requirement study for 60s and 70s are $830. So they're relatively high rents. It's built in 1972, but it was renovated, and so the high rents reflect the fact that it's renovated. Repair maintenance, line 27, is $1138 per suite, which is on the low end. It's less than the average for the 60s and 70s at the 1600, and that's because it's renovated and repair maintenance is lower than normal. Remarks at the bottom says renovated for $726,000 in 2011. I returned to rent control in 2016, so he was exempt for 5 years. 2015 R&M was only $195 per suite and excluded from the average. Then we have the financial statements afterwards. There again, we're not going to spend too much time on those because we're down to cap rate argument. So when you use our cap rate with similar NOI of the assessor, we get a value of $2,309,000 versus the assessor $2,008,000. That's my report.
Okay, questions?
No questions, thank you.
Ed, questions?
No questions.
Doug?
Nothing, thank you.
Okay. Onwards and up the streetwards, 359 Edison.
Okay. File number 19-333, roll number 04000332500359 Edison Avenue. Assessed for 2020 at $2,031,000. It's an apartment, 1963, no effective year built on it, 23 suites, construction class C, masonry bearing walls. Like the other properties, we are within $1,500. It's mainly a cap rate dispute on this one's. We're basically at the same number for net operating income. So I'm not gonna, again, go over the financials because we wind up pretty much at the same spot. So it's on Edison, 1963. We don't have any effective age applied to. You see on page 12. Just 12 to the end of my brief just shows you some pictures of the asset we're looking at. So you'll see that there's no justification for an effective age on this property. It looks pretty basic. Cap rate on this one too. That's my evidence.
Okay, questions, Henry?
No question.
Ed, questions?
None.
Doug?
No, thank you.
Okay, go ahead, Henry.
Page 7. So line 3, their rents is $811, which is slightly below average. Part of that is because there's 3 bachelors, which reduces the average. Vacancy is 5.9, 2017, we stabilized at 2016, 2017 vacancy, 3.75. Repair and maintenance, we did it 2014 to 2017. So we excluded 2013 was higher than the other years. So we end up 1785 per suite. In the end, we have within a few $100s of the assessor's net income. So it's a cap rate argument, so we're saying 6%. So that's our report.
Questions?
No questions, thank you.
Any questions?
No, thank you.
Okay. $365 Edison.
Okay, file number 19-3332, 365 Edison Avenue, roll number 04000333-500. Again, Res App 1963, no effective year built. 17 suites, 15 outdoor apartments, plus construction, Class C masonry bearing walls. It's on Edison like the other properties we're talking about. Just like the other properties, we're within $1,000 on net operating income. So for this one, again, it's cap rates. That's my evidence, thank you.
Okay,
No questions?
any questions?
None.
None, okay. Go ahead then.
Page 7, line 3, the average rent is $860, which is slightly above the average for that age group, which would be $830. It has more 2 bedrooms than 1 bedroom, so possibly higher rent, possibly due to the suite mix. The repair and maintenance, we stabilized 1986 per suite. We have a net income which is very similar to the assessor, within a few $100s. We're down to cap rate only. We applied 6% cap rates, we get a value of $1,195,500, 1,196. 1,195, I guess, is our final value. Thank you.
Okay, any questions?
No questions, thanks.
Ed?
None, thank you.
Okay. Okay, we are moving swimmingly along. Now we gotta go take a turn onto Watt Street.
Okay, one second. Okay, pardon me. File number 19-2193, roll number 02011575000770 Watt Street. It's an apartment, again, roll year 2020, assessed value $1,439,000. Last go around, it was $1,218,000. There was no appeal on the property. 1960, actual year built, no effective year built on this property as well. So, just glancing ahead, looks like we are, again, virtually identical in terms of net operating income. So we're looking at cap rate on this one. This one's got 17 suites. When you're looking at the financials though, the recent financials, it looks like there has been some work done to the place. In terms of page 7, you see maintenance and decorating. here. Actually, you know what, this also includes another building, but they're a 50-50 split, so disregard my last comment there. You can get the interior of the building starting on page 11 to page 12, so it looks like they have done some updating, but again, we are so similar in terms of net operating income, it comes down to cap rate. Thank you.
Okay, questions, Henry?
Are you saying the new floors is upgrading?
Well, it's an upgrade from the old floors, if the old floors needed to be replaced.
Floors have to be replaced every 10 years or so, so it's a normal part of the repair and maintenance, isn't it?
Yeah.
That would not cause a change in effective age.
No, not on its own.
So questions?
Okay, Ed, any questions?
None?
Doug?
No, thank you.
Okay, you can proceed, Henry.
Page 8. Line 1, you can see the rents went up from 2013 to 2017. The vacancy went up, it's up to 9.4% in 2017. They also have bad debt. We stabilized at 5.2%, the 3-year average, which is less than 2017. Repair and maintenance, we stabilized basic general ledgers, which would be on page 7, 1920 per suite. The rent per suite, $840 per suite, is a bit on the high side because it has mainly 1 bedrooms, and the average for that age group is around $830. So it's $20 to $40 above average rent. And that financial statements for 2 properties, and we give 50% of the twin building. The hearing remarks, so the hearing at some 60 watt, but it's only 10, 20, 20. Twin building with same suite mix and square footage. So nevertheless, at the end, our NOIs are virtually the same, so we're down to cap rate only. So we apply 6% cap rate versus the assessor 5.3. So our value is $1,280,000. That's my report.
Questions?
I have no questions, thank you.
Doug?
No, thank you.
Ed?
No.
Okay, I have no questions, so thank you for your presentation. It went very quickly, as you said.